What in fact, Twin Lakes? Jim Keithley back inside the indoor golf studio once again with another helpful video, we hope. We're going to expand on what we spoke on last week, and last week was all about using the time that we have in the winter, figuring out a way to get better from January to March. And one of the observations that I talked about is that as we're inside, we really see a lot of people struggle with these very partial wedge shots. They don't know how to hit that 20 to 30 to 40 yard pitch or chip shot because they just don't know what club to use, what type of technique to use, and they really struggle with distance control. And so last week was just about bringing awareness to an issue that we see a lot of, and today would be more about what type of technique that we need to use. And I've done a lot of videos on YouTube about this, but we're going to talk about it once again. So what is the perfect technique to hitting these partial chip shots that I would consider being the low-hanging fruit on watching your scores go down and seeing you get better at golf? So anybody who's spent any amount of time with me on a lesson tee knows that one of my most foundational aspects of good golf versus bad is not necessarily the technique, but it's just the skill on being able to control the low point, the lowest part of the swing arc. And on this little partial chip, the fundamental part of controlling that low point would be just proper setup. We see so many people that are too wide, that are too far from the ball. So what we need to see is getting you actually closer to the golf ball. Handle rises, feet much closer together. We see people that are way too wide. That gives them permission to shift laterally in both directions. So we want feet close together, closer to the ball, handle a little taller. And then in order to get that low point where we need to and get that functional strike where we're getting contact, that we're hitting ball before ground, I like to get that nose in front of the golf ball. So I like to see just this subtle shift forward. We never want to see something where the nose is behind the ball, trail shoulder goes down, and we look like this. Now we're just set up for failure. You're going to hit back behind here almost every time. So let's feel like we're getting taller, closer to the ball, handle higher, nose in front of the ball. And now we're just in a position to succeed. So now when we start to pivot on either side of the golf ball, we have a better chance to bottom out in front of the golf ball. All right, my friends, now that we've talked about proper setup, now let's just talk about getting the club in a proper position initially. Most people make mistakes that first 18 inches that they move away from the golf ball, and now they've just set themselves up to fail. What do we see more times than not? People drag the club too much to the inside. That really puts this swing direction in a bad position. It takes away some angle of attack. We talked last week that we have to have an angle of attack that's down. This club has to be on a downward descent. So we need to think about keeping the club more out in front of us. This would be behind me. This would be out in front. I like to put a little pool noodle in front of people. We set people up properly. Here's the proper setup. Feet close together, closer to the ball, nose forward. Now let's just see if we can just hinge this club up and more out. Our wrist conditions go from a thumbs down position to a thumbs up position when we do this. Thumbs up. Okay. And if we do this properly, it's going to sound euphoric, feel euphoric. I'm going to look at my numbers, and I should have some good angle of attack numbers and a path that's heading from the outside to the end, which puts some nice cut spin which allows the ball to come off nice and soft and land softly. I have a 25-yard shot here. Let's see how I do. It's going to be pretty good. Okay, now let's talk about what I would probably consider the most overlooked concept to good pitching and chipping, especially from the partial distances that we're talking about here. It's this idea of we need to add some extension into this golf swing. And there are flexions and extensions everywhere in golf. We won't dive too deep into that, but raise your hand out there if you've ever been told, keep your head down, keep your eye on the ball, especially when it comes to short chips. It would be my opinion that's some of the worst advice that you could ever give to someone in golf, because when they do that, they hyper focus on the golf ball or the ground. They really stall out the body pivot, and post impact, they start to look like this, okay? Because they're looking down, they never get the opportunity to do this, and this is the extension piece. Now look how I'm getting my club out of the ground as I do this. My hands and arms really aren't going to move. They are going to move in space because I'm pushing up and pivoting forward, okay? I did not move my arms and hands. My body moved my arms and hands. And now from this side-on view, you can see that I'm as tall as I can get. I've got really good arm structure out in front of me. That's to say that my elbows are straight, my arms are straight. They're not rigid, but they are straight, and I've got really good shaft and club structure out in front of me. This would be yes. This would be no. And this, my friends, is what we see all the time. Anyone that bends the elbows has a hard time to manage the radius or the bottom of the swing arc, and they cannot manage their low point. So they're constantly hitting thin shots and fat shots, and they're just guessing, okay? So the extension piece is extending up. Make sure that the hips thrust, it's a tough word for me, thrust forward, okay? And now we're as tall as we can get. I'm 5'10". I can't get any taller than 5'10". What I don't want is this, where the chest is now forward, the hips are back, and the elbows are bent. So let's just put all of this together. Proper setup, ball closer to us, ball position forward, handle higher, nose in front of the golf ball. Club stays more out in front of us, and we're hinging up into this thumbs up position, thumbs up, okay? Exiting left, tall, extended, chest, eyes all looking at the target, not chest down, eyes down, looking at the ground. Let's see how I do. Okay. So let's put all those pieces together. Again, you don't have to have this sophisticated launch monitor and indoor setup. You can do this at home. I've got a bunch of foam balls that I got from Target for $20. You can just hit these types of shots into your couch, into a wall. It's going to bounce right back. Try this stuff out over the next 3 months. By the time we get outside, hopefully these little low-hanging fruit partial chip shots would be your strength instead of your weaknesses. If you have any questions, let us know. Look to see you soon.